By way of illustration, this past week I was reading about Admiral William Perry, the English explorer who led a crew of men to the Arctic Ocean. And in an attempt to move even further north, to continue their chartings, their map making, they calculated their location by the stars and began what was to be a very difficult and treacherous march north. They walked hour after hour in this bone-chilling cold. Finally, exhausted, they stopped. Again, they attempted to take their bearing from the stars, but when they did this a second time, they discovered that they were even further south than when they had begun. And then suddenly, Perry realized the problem. They had been walking on an ice floe that was moving south faster than they had been walking north. Its drift was imperceptible, not plain to the senses, but real. And this, you see, is the same phenomena that concerns the writer of the Hebrews. When our anchor is dislodged from the bedrock of Jesus Christ, then we become exceedingly susceptible to the unholy undertows that seek to pull us away from Him. Undertows, beloved, that are so subtle, so slight, so gradual, that they are beyond recognition, not identifiable to our plain senses, until such a time that our spiritual condition is in a perilous state. May I tell you something? After 16 years of ministry, and I recognize, beloved, 16 years of ministry does not make me infallible. But 16 years of pastoral ministry does teach you certain things about patterns that are repeated over and again. I can tell you, beloved, after 16 years of ministry, I have never known of one professing Christian who woke up one day and suddenly out of nowhere said, "Today, I will willingly forsake Jesus Christ. This is the day that I will turn my back on the gospel once and for all." No. The anchor dislodges, and a subtle, imperceptible drift begins. And then one day, sometime in the future, you find yourself sitting in the back of a police car. Or you look down and see your own hand wrapped around the neck of an empty whiskey bottle. Or you notice a used syringe on your nightstand. Or you wake up the next morning next to someone who isn't your spouse. And it suddenly dawns on you, I've drifted far from the safe harbor of Jesus Christ. You say, "Well, Art, now come on. We around here know that no true Christian can be lost eternally." Yes. That is a statement theologically to which I would lend my assent. The problem is, it summarizes only half the issue. And beloved, you've heard me say it a dozen times. Whenever you make a half-truth the whole truth, you end up with a complete untruth. It is true that no authentic Christian could ever sin himself into eternal lostness. Praise be to our God this morning that He not only saves His children, He keeps His children. But what is equally true, beloved, is that no authentic Christian would ever sin himself into eternal lostness. Jesus Himself says in Matthew chapter 10, "He who stands firm to the end will be saved. He who continues to the end will be saved." On the one hand, God keeps His people. He keeps them to the end. On the other hand, God's people, with God's grace, persevere to the end. Those are two sides of the same coin. We need both, not only one or the other. To get one out of the other is to imperil your own spiritual condition. You need to understand both. And the writer of this letter, you see, is encouraging his readers at this very point of necessary perseverance. Of course, you and I know no true Christian can ever be lost eternally, but that's not his concern at this point. It's to address the other side of the issue, a very real issue. The issue of perseverance, without which no true Christian will ever see heaven.